Okay, guys, welcome to this very last of all the videos, the last of our themes, the subgenre of the sublime in landscape art. Now, this is very important. There's, in sort of popular language, the sublime is often used to describe something that is nice, right? So we go like, people go like, oh wow, this Italian ice cream is so sublime. Or they say this piece of furniture is absolutely sublime. They're using that word completely incorrectly. The sublime in philosophical and art historical, in these worlds, means actually those things which are so terrifying and so overwhelming that our minds actually struggle to deal with it. Our minds can't cope with it. The sublime are things that are indescribable. That's perhaps where this popular use of the word developed from. Things that it's so, when we can't describe it, we say something is sublime. But in this sense, it's when our minds are overpowered, when we don't know, we can't think. That's when things are sublime. But the sublime has an element of negative pleasure to it as well. You know, sometimes, let's say, for example, if you've exercised, right, and your muscles are really sore and stiff, it's a painful, but it's like a nice pain almost, né? It's that similar sort of an idea. It's when we are overwhelmed by something, but there's also an element of something that we enjoy with it. It'll become more clear as we continue, but these are the things that we're talking about when we speak about the sublime. Things that are indescribable, that is difficult for us to comprehend, but there's also a pleasurable element to it. Let's continue. All right, so before we get to more examples, if we talk about the prehistory of the notion of the sublime, we can use the example of the desert. In the early Christian history, sort of around the turn of the from the BCs to the ADs, from the period before Christ to the sort of the Common Era, in that little let's say the transition phase, the desert was seen, as you can see here, a place of chaos and evil, a place where we went through ordeals. The desert was seen as a place where demons lived. In the early Christian period, you can see there John the Baptist there in the desert. That's where he was confronted by temptations. Christ also went into the desert for 40 days and for 40 nights. So the desert, it's vast, it's endless. It's a place that we can't really survive in because there's not enough water. So it's a place that overpowers our senses. So that the notion of the sublime develops from this idea. In the previous video, we spoke about the pastoral and the notion of the locus amuensis. You will remember that is a pleasant place, ideal, beautiful lawn maybe, or a place where we feel safe and where we are comfortable. In contrast to the locus amuensis, what we have here is the locus terribilis, and you can see from the name it says a terrible place. Locus, you'll remember, is place. And if we now think about the notion of the sublime, it's somewhere where we feel overwhelmed. It's a place that is terrifying. We become anxious when we are confronted by the sublime. So here, for example, we have these thunder clouds, right, that are very ominous, and these rocks here that are jutting out, these waves here that are crashing into the rocks. Even down here we see there's a ship that possibly has already foundered, right? So the people in these ships, these guys over there, they are small in comparison to the overpowering forces of nature. And as they are confronted by the storm, so are we as we're looking at this painting. And so this scary scene taking place here on the vast oceans is not a great place to be in for the sailors, and we are also confronted by this as we look at this painting. When we spoke about the picturesque, we referred to Uvedale Price, who proposed the third category between, he acknowledged the beautiful and the sublime, and then he said there must be a third category, the picturesque. Well, now here we have Edmund Burke. He wrote an essay. There you can see the title, Philosophical Inquiry into the Origin of the Ideas of the Sublime and the Beautiful. You can see Immanuel Kant, the Western philosopher, wrote on the same topic. But if we now specifically focusing here on Burke, Edmund Burke, he also said that the sublime is this place where our reason is overpowered. We feel out of control when we are confronted by the sublime. Think now of that hailstorm, those of you who were in Bloemfontein of last week. There's nothing that we can do. The rain is pouring down and we are powerless against it. We have no control. The hail pieces will fall and it will ruin my garden, for example, and there's nothing, I have no control over it. So any of these nature tempests that are terrifying to us, these things are sublime. He also, there you can see, you read in the notes at least, he listed the sources of the sublime, but I'll get back to those in a moment. Okay, some key ideas just to remember about the sublime. It's terrifying, and when we are confronted by things that we find terrifying, we immediately have this urge of self-preservation, and we want to survive. And so often when we are confronted by the painting that is sublime, it's scary and it's terrifying, yet we know that we will survive. So that's where this delight, this sort of a nice feeling with it comes in. There you can see things that cause the sublime, vastness, like we saw with the desert, the same with the big sky, for example, the infinite. The sky is infinite. If we stand under a thundercloud-filled sky, we are confronted by this infiniteness. Wild, things that are wild, the forests that are dark and wild things grow there, makes us feel scared as well and anxious. And there, here at the bottom, some key words. Terrifying, darkness. In the middle of the darkness of the night, we feel scared. The void, I will show you a little bit later in this video some images of the void that are actually very cool. Desolateness, think again about being in the desert and being completely alone. Or on the ocean, we can be on the ocean and also feel desolate. The vast expanses of the sea, the heights of dark mountains, the sky, the mysterious wild nature. All these things can evoke a sublime response in us. And that's part of it. It's part of the sublime are the emotions in us that they awaken, right? So when the word there, awe, it's not the way that they use it in like How I Met Your Mother when they say, wow, that thing or this thing is so awesome. Awe here means to be completely confounded. When we talk about not having control, not being able to comprehend something, it's that kind of an awe where you are stunned by something that is so magnificent and huge that you don't know how else to react. Respect, we have respect for something that is, let's say now a thunderstorm, right? We're not going to take chances. We have respect for it because we know how powerful those lightning strikes can be, and we stand in amazement in front of it. Now, to get back, these sources of the sublime that Burke lists in his essay, that's summarized in the notes of the earlier slide. Here they are: obscurity, when things are dark, when we're unsure what's going on. Power, like the lightning strikes that are powerful. If we must go through trials and tribulations, like St. John in the desert, these are privations, things that we must struggle through. Vastness, the vastness of the oceans and the vastness of the skies, when they are infinite, these things overpower us, and sometimes we struggle to comprehend it. When things are happening in succession, and they can also be sublime, and then the same with uniformity. Sometimes when things are repeated the whole time, but they're the same, then we struggle to kind of comprehend what's going on. Stuff that are difficult and things that are magnificent. All these are key words that show us that we are here busy with the sublime. Here is a wonderful example, one that I really enjoy, by Turner, the British artist, the Battle of Fort Rock. Here we see the battle. That's what's going on there. That's the battle. Down here we have somebody that's now, some soldiers maybe, that's been hurt by the battle. We even have this tree here that's fallen, but then it's these massive mountains on this side, that overpower our senses. If you, for example, if you stand near to a very tall building, a building that's quite a number of stories high, or like in this case, in front of this massive mountain, if you look up at it, it feels as though it's going to fall on you, it's going to topple over. It's that kind of a being overpowered that we have here. Or here, right? Look how small these little guys are down here. This guy and these two. They are nothing in comparison to this massive avalanche that's coming down their way. And these rock outcrops that we have here. These things overpower the senses, both of these 2-3 guys in the painting and of us as well. We struggle to cope with them. This is one of my favorite paintings by Caspar David Friedrich, The Monk by the Sea, it's called. Now look how wonderful it is. Look how very small the monk is here, down here. The black I know is a little bit difficult to see. Maybe I should try a different color. Try the blue. There we go. I know these things are horrible, but I think they are helping. Look how small this guy is down here in comparison to this massive sky over here. Well, ocean and sky. He almost disappears, and we as the spectator, we are confronted by the same huge ocean and sky as he is, him being so small and us almost being in his position. There you can see we've been speaking since the beginning about this relationship between man and nature. It's very much the case with the sublime. It's how we react to nature, and Caspar David Friedrich was experimenting with this idea. We see these Burkean notions, these what did he call it, sources of the sublime, the darkness, the solitude, this desolate, lonely monk. He's by himself. The silence. Silence sometimes can be deafening. that's also sublime. And then there is just this emptiness that stretches on forever. This is a wonderful painting, guys. Okay, a more recent example is by Anselm Kiefer. He is a German artist, still living, contemporary artist, and numerous of his paintings can be called, or his artworks, I should say, can be classified as sublime landscapes. Go and have a look in the original slideshow, the original PowerPoint on the landscape. There are quite a number of Anselm Kiefer artworks actually in that one. I've seen an Anselm Kiefer myself. I was fortunate enough while I was in the Netherlands to see one. If you stand in front of the actual paintings, is when you really experience this overpowering feel. What is the word that I'm trying to? This effect that they have on us. You can go and see the notes that are included in the PowerPoint. It just explains what is going on here. We have this forest road with trees that are covered in blood. Okay? Then there's the snake here at the bottom. You see the snake down here. And so this whole land, all of this here is this with the trees and the sky and the horizon stretching on. All that's this forbidden forest, really. And that's sublime. At the far end, this road recedes into the staircase. Yeah. And the staircase represents the stairs that actually lead up to Anselm Kiefer's studio, and then the word resurrects it to be brought back from the dead is the text that is written at the top of the stairs. Okay, so here we actually have lightning that we've now already established can be very sublime. This is Walter de Maria's lightning field. He made this, there you can see, in the Nevada desert in New Mexico. This place, I'm not sure actually how you pronounce it, but this place is famous for its for the high incidence of lightning, and then the fact that there is very few people who live there, negligible human population. So we have this desolate, empty, vast space where there is this loads and loads of lightning that occurs. So then what he did, he put these poles. I'm going to go to the next slide actually, or let me just see. Yes, I'm going to go to the next slide. There you can see the poles. They are 20 feet high, and then it's a mile by a kilometer, as you saw in the previous slide. So there are these 16 by 25 and 25 by 16. These poles, and they capture literally the moon, the lightning, and then you can now imagine for yourself, if you are standing there looking at this, the play of lightning there, how awesome it must be, how you must be completely dumbstruck as you stand in front of it. It's the sky that is already sublime in its own sense, and then this lightning strikes, the power of it. It's wonderful. I love it. Here we have a whole different kind of a thing. It's Michael Heiser's double negative. Now, you'll remember from the picturesque video that somebody like Robert Smithson with Spiral Jetty, these guys were land artists. The same with Richard Long. They wanted to get out of the gallery. Michael Heiser, he believed that art must be radical, and so he went to the Nevada desert. It's a place called the Mormon Mesa. Mesa is a plateau, and there, facing, well, as you can see in this plateau, he basically excavated all the earth in here, and he created these deep indentations. Initially, he excavated 30-foot wide cuts to the depth of 42 feet, and then later he deepened it to 50 feet, and the total length of these are 1,500 feet. Now, it's interesting that immediately this work was met with critique. People were saying, you're destroying the environment, you're destroying the landscape. What are you doing? You know, people reacted in critical ways. I'm going to go on to the next slide to show you more of what it looks like. Here you can see this is deep, guys. This is very deep, and this is 50 feet across, right? So it's quite massive. And as I promised before, the thing here that is sublime is that it's this void, right? You walk inside the painting, or not the painting, the artwork. You are inside it, and around you are these huge cliffs, and you are inside this emptiness, this experience of vastness. Already you're in the desert that we've now already said to each other is this vast, infinite, desolate place. And now inside of that, you are inside even more of a void. And this feeling of the sides falling in on you must be insane. Let's have a look at the next one. So yeah, here you can see from another angle this vastness, the depth here, and the vastness that the sky and the desert stretches all around. It really is quite magnificent and quite overpowering. The next, here we have Nancy Holt sun tunnels. This is also one that I anyways really enjoy. In Utah, this is in Utah. That's another state in America, and you can see these tunnels are these 4 concrete pipes, each of them 18 feet long, just a little bit over 9 meters in diameter, and you can see how big these are in comparison to this tiny little man. They're placed in this sort of a cross, or let's say an X, and then what happens is during the winter and summer solstice, that's when the seasons start to change, the way that the sun falls, these holes in the tunnels, in the pipes, make the shapes of the different constellations. You can go and see there, I've written them down in the notes for you. They are Draco, Perseus, Columba, and Capricorn. Capricorn, of course, being the one of the zodiac. And then, so as the sun falls in, these shadows, or the play of light and dark, creates these constellations, and of course it changes as the sun moves across the sky. Moving on to the next slide. This is called Sky Mount, also by Nancy Holt. I'm just going to actually mention it very briefly. This place used to be a landfill, as you can read there, near New Jersey in America. And although it's not actually quite finished yet, they're still working on it. They want to reappropriate this landfill to make it environmentally safe, to make it a park where people can actually go. You can see how big it is. Here we have the highway going there, the highway going there. So it's a big landfill, a big piece of artwork that once again reminds us of our smallness in comparison to nature. So that, guys, was the experience of the Sublime in the landscape genre. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to let me know. Get in contact with me. I just one or two final things. In South Africa, in the landscape tradition, there's also some artists who work in this mystical tradition. I just want to show you quickly. This is Berku Wilsenach, artist who's actually, I've seen this. He exhibited it in the Stagman a year or 2 or 3 years ago. These are constellations as well. They are stars, star maps. But then they, as you can see, the blind astronomer, it's also like Braille. So all these little dots that you see here, there, all these dots are stars, but then they also tactile. You can touch them. And then here's another one of an image of the sky. But then I want to show you these. These are also star maps, but in these glass boxes, they are movable. So you can move these 2, 3, 4, 5, however many panels there are. You can move them over each other, and then you can see how the star maps change. But then they also have this tactile element to them. That is, and they're interactive as well. That's also always really awesome. So that's my story, guys. And if you need to, please get in contact with me. And good luck with your assignments and with your tutorials. I'll speak with you guys soon. Bye bye.